Hello, I'm Mike, and this is Will. We are the Tabletop Donkeys.
Hello.
Bringing you issue 48 of Warhammer Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms magazine today. And in this issue, we got Reikenor the Grimhailer, a new hero for the Nighthaunt. And if you want to see him in action, you can skip to the timecode in the description for the battle report, or look it up in the chapter bar. We're having a quick look through the magazine. First up with some background of Reikenor himself. So he was apparently a powerful wizard who sought to use the light magic of the realm of Hysh to end mortality. So obviously that would draw the ire of Nagash, who obviously cursed him and bound Reikenor to his service. And Reikenor now actively seeks out people who would try to do what he did in his prior life. You can see the model there, fully painted, and he goes over his scythe and his horse and some of his trinkets that he carries. There's some history of the Spiral Crux, the part of the realm of metal. It talks about Chamonites and basically the Dwarden continue to prosper under their watchful eye of their god until they drew the Eye of Tzeentch, who has a special interest in the realm. There is some backstory on the Blades of Khorne, so the many forces of the blood god Khorne, who we've seen in a previous issue. Talks about his demonic followers, the mortal followers, and also here the Bloodbound, who are a subset of his mortal followers who are particularly favoured by him. They were part of the initial release of Age of Sigmar. And now we have background on Hammerhall Gira, so we've learned about Hammerhall Aksha in a previous issue. This is the other half of the Twin City on the Realm of Life, and the Realmgate between them, what it's like living there, how there's mostly elves compared to the Dwarden inhabitants of Hammerhall Aksha, and it also talks about here the Gold Jackets, the Free Guild defenders of the city. And we also have some background on the Greywater Fastness, which is all another city of Sigmar on the Realm of Life, but is a fairly industrialised one. So the Dwarden have heavily industrialised the city, which has drawn the ire of the Sylvaneth, and both sides are only kept away from each other's throats by the threat of the undead currently in the realm. Now you have the build guide for Reikenor. It's fairly simple. It's gluing his horse together and gluing it to the base. The main difficulty I had when putting him together is he is technically a push-fit model, but this step here, where you're putting the man together himself, you kind of push two parts together with nothing to actually push against. It feels like you're bending it, so I would probably recommend just gluing that together. It does recommend putting them together in sub-assemblies. I didn't actually do it in sub-assemblies. It was relatively easy to paint anyway, but you do have to be a bit careful because he is only held on by his arm and it's quite easy to break him. And then we have the painting guide. Possibly the main new step here is painting his horse with Coda Greenshade. I guess this helps him stand out from the others. But painting the man himself, he's pretty similar to the other Nighthaunt. And then he actually has a moulded base, so there's a fair amount of stone to go in. It'll be the similar sort of style to the mausoleum terrain. And you need to be careful highlighting all the cloth and all the metal. But he'll look pretty good once he's finished. As you can see there, the finished model. And that'll be it for the issue overview. We can look at rules for Reikenor and see him in the game.
So in a moment we'll be on to our game, but first we've got our war score for Reikenor the Grimhailer that we got with this issue. So he is a named character for the Nighthaunt, and he has a unique profile. He's not really a named version of anything else. So you can see he has a 14-inch move, 7 wounds, a 4+ save, bravery 10 as usual. And his weapons, he has his scythe, which is called Fell Reaper, which has a 2-inch range with 4 attacks that hit on 4s, wound on 3s, and Ren -1 do 2 damage. And his mount, Killaron, can also attack with its hooves, and it's slightly better than a normal horse. It's 3 attacks which hit on 4s and wound on 4s. And he has the Frightful Touch ability that a few Nighthaunt have. Unmodified hit rolls of 6 do 2 mortal wounds instead of the normal damage. He obviously has Ethereal and Fly like all the other Nighthaunt. He also has the Reap like Khorne ability that the Grimghast Reapers and the Cairn Wraith have. When attacking units with 5 or more models, he gets to reroll failed hit rolls. But he's also a wizard. He knows 3 spells, Arcane Bolt, Mystic Shield, and Wraithstorm, which, as you can see there, has a casting value of 7. You have to pick an enemy unit within 12 inches that's visible. That unit suffers D3 mortal wounds, but if that damage slays any enemy models, then the unit immediately suffers another D3 mortal wounds. And he also has an ability called Corpse Candles. So in the hero phase before attempting to cast a spell, he can either pick himself or an enemy model within 12 inches, and that model suffers a mortal wound. If it was an enemy model that suffered the mortal wound, you add +1 to the casting roll. But if it was himself who suffered the mortal wound, then you can add +3 to the casting roll. And obviously, yes, he is a named character, rather like the Briar Queen or Avalon Stormsire, so you can only take 1 of him. And on the back of the page, you just have a tutorial for how all of those abilities work, so they're all fairly straightforward, and you'll see them in the game. Then we have the background for our game. So the Stormcast Eternals are trying to seal the Burnished Path, which is the Realmgate that we discovered a few issues ago. And as Lord Arcanum Glorymantle and his Stormcast are seeking to seal it, Reikenor the Grimhailer comes through the Realmgate to lead the attack and attempt to drive the Stormcast back. And so we have the Battleplan for the Grimhailer. So there's our battlefield. Now, this is the first time we'll get to play on 3 battle mats. As you can see there, we're using all 3 that we've received up to this point in the magazine on the reverse side. And there's an objective in the centre of each of the 3 battle mats. And then for the armies, obviously the Nighthaunt are led by Reikenor the Grimhailer, and then we've got the Guardian of Souls, 4 Grimghast Reapers, 4 Glayfaith Stalkers, 15 Chain Rasps, 4 Miremore Banshees and 3 Spirit Hosts, and the Stormcast Eternals have the Lord Arcanum Griff Charger, Zandria Arasubolt, 5 Sequitors, 3 Castigators and 3 Evocators. We set up the Azerite Ruins, the Dominion of Sigmar statue, the Bell Tower, then the Fallen Sigmar statue, and as usual I think we'll use the scenery table to give some rules to the 2 bits of terrain we don't have War Scroll for yet. In this game the Nighthaunt player deploys a unit first, and then both sides alternate. The game continues until the 5th battle round, at which point the player with the highest victory point total wins. And victory points are scored at the end of each battle round. It's the usual stuff. We add up the wounds characteristics slain during the battle round. The player scores the most gets 2 victory points, or it's 1 if it is a tie. And at the end of the battle round, whoever controls the most objectives scores 3 victory points. And it's 1 victory point if it's a tie. And the battle plan doesn't specify how to control objectives, so we therefore fall back on the core rules for controlling objectives that were given a couple of issues ago, so it's a 6-inch objective control range in this game. But that is the battle plan, so we'll set up the board and the train and the figures, and then get onto the first turn. And here we are, we've set up the battlefield and deployed our armies, so yeah, you can see we've got 3 whole boards. On the left hand side is the Realm of Life board, the back side, the middle is the Realm of Metal board, and on the right hand side is the Realm of Death board, reverse side. So having a look at the terrain in that same order, we've got both of the ruins on the left hand side, with the objective in the middle there. In the centre we just have the Statue of Sigmar, and we did roll off on the random terrain table and I got result 2, which is
Arcane, so you had 1 to unbinding and casting rolls for a wizard if they're within an inch of it.
So that's pretty handy for the Nighthaunt. And over on the other side of the board we have the Fallen Sigmar head, which is, we rolled result 4, which is deadly, so any unit finishing any move within 1 inch of it will take D3 mortal wounds if they roll 1 on the D6. And then the Bell Tower is over there in the upper part of that board. And the Nighthaunt wanted to deploy a unit first, so we'll look at their deployment first.
Yeah, it's been a while since I've deployed first, but over on the far left from your perspective I have the 4 Grimghast Reapers. And in the centre we have the Spirit Hosts, Reikenor the Grimhailer, who will be my general, the Chain Rasps, the Guardian of Souls, the Miremore Banshees, and then over on the right behind the Bell Tower are the Glayfaith Stalkers.
And then for the Stormcast deployment, we've got the Sequitors in the centre of the central board, then the 3 Castigators next to them, Zandria Arasubolt and the Lord Arcanum, who will be my general. And finally out on the right flank are the 3 Evocators. So, we're on to battle round 1, and we're rolling off to see who gets to choose the first turn. I've rolled a 1. Well, mine was a 1.
Yeah. So I think I'm going to make the Stormcast go first, just so that they're shooting. Their wizards might be doing anything, and if there's any aggressive movement I might be able to do some charging.
So we'll go on to Stormcast turn 1. So I gain command point, and we're going to try some spells. We'll try Mystic Shield first from the Lord Arcanum, needing a 6, getting a 5, so nope. And Zandria Arasubolt might as well try Spirit Storm, getting a 7, getting a 9.
I might as well try and unbind that with Reikenor, because the Guardian of Souls is in range of the Evocators, so he needs a 10. He gets a 9, so it's not unbound.
And the Evocators might as well try and cast in power, because there's not really any downside. Needing a 12 will do.
Yeah, can't
unbind that. They're going to put that on Zandria. And then I've moved, so units in the middle, we've got the Sequitors just moving up. They did run, but they only needed an extra inch or so to do what I wanted. Castigators moved up there 5 inches, and they're actually all in range of a Miremore Banshee, just about, so they can shoot. Zandria ran as well, she just got herself behind here, and Lord Arcanum moved up to keep up with the line. Over on the other end, the Evocators ran. They rolled a whopping 6. They didn't move that full distance, but they are now all near that objective, and they're more than an inch away from the deadly terrain. And with the objectives, since we actually have 3 with the sort of Nighthaunt spook on them and 3 without, and since we're using the core rules for controlling objectives, they remain under your control when you move away, so we'll use the objectives with the spook on them to denote when they're controlled by the Nighthaunt, and without the spook when they're controlled by the Stormcast. Or, at the moment, the other 2 are neutral. That shouldn't be ambiguous, because the Nighthaunt are going to take them both in a minute. Then I do have the shooting phase. The Castigators will shoot at the Miremore Banshees. As usual, we'll always do power to accuracy, allowing us to reroll 1s to hit. So the prime hits on 2, he's the black dice, the other's on 3s. We need to reroll that 1. We do have a 6 though for D3 hits. Oh, another 6. Good old Castigator. So 2 D3 hits total from the 2 6s. 6. Wounding on 3s. 4 wounds.
4 plus saves for the Banshees. Made 2, failed 2. Perfect average. Who did that one? Yeah, that one.
But that will be the end of my turn, because I'm obviously not declaring any charges. Everything's scored at the end of the battle round, so we'll be on to Nighthaunt turn 1.
So, gain a command point and then move on to spellcasting. The Guardian of Souls will try to cast Spectral Law. He needs a 6. Gets it with a 7.
I'll try and unbind normally, I suppose. No, not with a 4.
So I'm going to cast it on the Myrmidon Banshees and bring back D6 for 6, but I've only got 2. So the 2 deceased Banshees come back, but they still count as having died for the purpose of the causing wounds objective though. Reikenor is in range for Arcane Bolt or Ray Storm, so he's going to cast Mystic Shield, using a 6.
Yep.
Getting it with a 6.
I'll try and unbind that. It doesn't matter which wizard, they're both in 30 of both the Nighthaunt wizards, but whatever. Oh yeah, 10, so unbound Mystic Shield.
So my movement's fairly simple. The Grimghast Reapers ran, but they're just going to take that objective. The Spirit Host ran as well to get a bit of extra distance to get them over by this ruin. Reikenor ran to get on top of the ruin, so you can't get charged quite so easily. The Chain Rasps and the Guardian of Souls are both just moved up normally. The Chain Rasps are just 2 of them are in range of their objective, so I'll take that.
Yeah, so we've replaced it with the spooky one.
The Myrmidon Banshees are going to move away sort of towards the Evocators, basically to try and unbind in power, but also to be spreading out a bit so you don't get destroyed by flasks. And then the Glaive Stalkers ran to get them all within range of that objective, so I can take that as well.
Yep, 4 to 3 models over there. So that will be the end of the battle round, because the Nighthaunt don't have any shooting or charging to do. The Nighthaunt hold all 3 objectives, obviously, so they gain 3 victory points for holding more objectives, but the Stormcast killed 2 wounds worth of models to the Nighthaunt 0, so they gain 2 victory points for that. So it is 3 to 2 at the end of battle round 1. So on to battle round 2, and we'll roll off for priority again. I've rolled a 2.
I've got a 4. And I think I'll go first this time.
So we'll be on to Nighthaunt turn 2.
So gain a command point, and I'm going to start the hero phase with the Guardian of Souls, and he's going to try and cast Arcane Bolt. So he only needs a 4, technically, because he's by the Mystic Statue.
Yep.
And he gets a 4.
So that's a 5, so I need a 6 to unbind it. I'll try and unbind that with the Lord Arcanum. Oh, he only rolled a 3, so Arcane Bolt goes off.
We're going to put it on Zandria, so doing some damage.
She goes down to 4 wounds.
So Reikenor is going to go next, and he's in range for his corpse candles, so he's going to pick the Secretors. So it does say pick a model, but the way we're going to do it is that I'm going to pick the Secretors, and then Will gets to decide which one takes the mortal wound. Not entirely sure if this is correct, but it does seem like this is the most fair way of doing it.
Yeah, because it says you pick a model and it takes a mortal wound, but the problem is if when you have a unit, well, firstly, the controlling player usually allocates where damage goes, and secondly, it does mean you could do really wonky things like pick a model in the middle of the unit so that it ends up out of coherency, and then take the whole unit away in the battle shock phase or something, which doesn't feel like that's how the rules are meant to work. So the Secretors take a mortal wound, we'll put it on that one there.
Yeah, and then he's going to try and cast Wraith Storm. So he only needs a 6 now, because he gets +1 to his casting roll. So he gets an 11.
I think we'll use Zandria Bolt's Void Storm scroll to automatically unbind. Because there's a Secretor already on a wound, the D3 would likely kill one, and they take another D3 mortal wounds, and I don't really want to start using Secretors straight away.
Start on the left again, the Grimghast Reapers are going to move, they can leave that objective since I maintain control of it. Reikenor's come down off the tower and he's going to be 3 inches away from those Secretors, going to get in with his scythe. Spirit Hosts are moved up normally, it's going to be a long charge but they might be able to get in. The Guardian of Souls around so you can get to a good position to buff everyone with his +1 to wound. Chain Rasps are moved up normally so they can prepare to charge. The Myrmidon Banshees are moving back towards the centre, sort of staying out a bit in case something decides to charge them. And the Glaive Stalkers are going to bravely run away because I don't need that objective anymore and they'll just get minced by those Evocators. So it's on to the charge phase. I'll start with the easy one, which is Reikenor charging the Secretors. So he needs anything but 3, and 8 is easy enough.
And so he will come in there.
And I'll do the Spirit Host next, needing a pretty spectacular charge. 7 isn't enough, I don't think. So I'm going to spend a command point to reroll that. It is going to be a 9, but I think it's worth it. That 6 isn't enough. And then the Chain Rasps are going to charge, and 8 is enough for them. The Chain Rasps will finish their charge like that, and then it'll be on to the combat phase.
Yep, so I will pick these Secretors to do power to shields, because they're going to be hit a lot.
I think I'll pick the Chain Rasps, because Reikenor's got his ability to reroll hits, but the Chain Rasps just get way more attacks. Yeah, putting all the attacks on the Secretors, 31 attacks, and I'll do a batch of 16 and a batch of 15. Hitting on 4s. 10 so far. And then the remaining 15 attacks. So it's 8 more hits, so it's 18 in total. Wounding on 3s because we were within 12 of the Guardian of Souls. Rerolling 1s because there's more than 10 Chain Rasps. Rerolling the 1s. 12, 13 wounds in total.
And then, because we've got power shields, we've got 4+ saves, re-rolling out all fails. So failed 6, re-roll. Oh, okay, only 1 success, so 5 wounds total. Yeah, so 5 wounds, so wounded man dies, and then there's 4 wounds left. So we will take away this one here, and then we put 2 wounds on this one here, but then we can use a Cycle of the Storm from the Lord to keep an alive on 1. So we effectively only take 4 wounds in total. And then I get to pick the Secretors, and, well, they have to put all their attacks on the Chain Rasps, because they cannot pile in to attack Reikenor. There's 7 attacks, all with Great Maces, hitting on 3s. 3 6s, so makes up for that I can't re-roll. These are D3. So 8 hits total. And wounding on 3s. 5.
5 wounds, 5+ saves for Chain Rasps. I made 1, so only 8 Chain Rasps die. So we'll just take away those ones.
Then Reikenor gets to go.
Can't quite get Zandra in range and try and attack her, so we're just going to go for the Secretors. So we've got 4 attacks with Fell Reaper, hitting on 4s. 6s do 2 mortal wounds. Well, they all hit, and there's 2 mortal wounds. Then the 3 regular hits hit on a wound on 2s because of the Guardian of Souls. So there's 2 regular wounds at -1.
And I have lost all my shields, and it's a different unit attacking, so we're just on a 5+ save. I made 1, so that's another 2 damage. So, yeah, 4 wounds
so far. Yep. And then the Horse has 3 attacks hitting on 4s, getting a single hit. And he wounds on a 3. It does.
4+ save? Oh, no. 5 damage, which is enough to completely wipe out them. That's exactly how many wounds they have left. So, yeah, that's all the remaining Secretors dead. And then I can pick Zandria, who's within range. She can't pile in far enough to get to Reikenor, but she will pile in. Yeah, she will pile into there, but she has to attack the Chain Rasps. 3 attacks hitting on 3s. Only 1 hit. Wounds on a 3, re-rolling because of Empower, so I can re-roll that. Into a wound.
5+ save. Nope.
D3 damage. 2.
So I'll take away these 2 closest to Reikenor.
And then the Castigators are actually within 3 inches, so they get to pile in and attack as well. They pile in that way, and only one of them can get within range. So we've got 2 attacks hitting on 4s. Oh, they both missed. And then we'll be on to the Battle Shock phase, where, well, all the Secretors are dead, so they don't have to take one.
Yeah, I'm going to spend my command point to make sure the Chain Rasps don't need to make a test.
But with that, we will be on to Stormcast, turn 2. So I gain a command point, and then spells. We'll start with Zandra, she'll try and do Spirit Storm again. We actually forgot the effects of it last turn for -1 to run and charge, but I think the Nighthaunt rolled high enough on their charges, it wouldn't have made any difference anyway. So we need a 7, we get a 5, and the Lord Arcanum will go for an Arcane Bolt. He needs a 5, he's got a 6.
I'll try and unbind this with the Marmor Banshees, just so they might get an extra attack. I'll need a 7, which I get.
And the Evocators will try and cast Empower, they might as well, needing 6. Oh, an 11.
I might as well try and unbind that with Reikenor, I guess. He'll need a 12. He did not get a 12.
So they'll put that on the Lord Arcanum, who is just about probably within 12, and he is a Sacrosanct unit, so he can use it. And then movement, Zandra is going to stay in melee. She's within 3 inches of both the Chain Rasps and Reikenor, so she can blow up her Spirit Flasks. The Lord Arcanum has moved into the middle. The Castigators retreated, where you see them there. And then the Evocators ran 2 inches, so they moved there, and I do try to control that objective. Well, it'll be at the end of my turn, but obviously can't oppose me this turn, so just mark it now. In the shooting phase, the Castigators retreated, so the Lord Arcanum is the only one to declare a charge. Anything but a 3. Anything but a 2. Yep, that's enough. That'll be my only charge, so we're on to the combat phase, at the start of which Zandra is going to shatter all 3 Spirit Flasks, so we'll blow up 3 Chain Rasps and do 3 wounds to Reikenor, 3 to herself. And then we will pick her to go first, because otherwise she'll just be killed. She annoyingly can't quite pile in to get to Reikenor, so she has to hit the Chain Rasps. 3 attacks hitting on 3s. She still can't hit more than once. She wounds on a 3, and she doesn't re-roll it this time because she doesn't have Empower.
As a result of the Lord Arcanum's charge, the Spirit Hosts are just within 3 inches, so the 2 in front will be able to get in range, so I'm going to pick them to go. We're going to be very generous, and we're going to say that that's incoherency. It's fractions of an inch, and it's very hard to get an inch ruler in there.
It's basically impossible to measure, so we're just going to give it the benefit of the doubt, basically.
So there's only 2 of them in range, so we've got 12 attacks, hitting on 5s, and 6s cause mortal wounds. Well, there's 3 mortal wounds in there, and just 1 regular hit, which wounds on a 3 because of the Guardian of Souls. Oh, he wounded. No
rends, so 3+ save. And he's made that. So he takes 3 wounds. He's the only other unit I have left, so he will fight, and he's going to attack the Guardian of Souls. 4 attacks with his staff, hitting on 3s. They all hit. Wounding on 3s, re-rolling because he has Empower. 2 wounds so far, re-rolling. That. It fell over onto a 4. So 4 wounds.
4 plus saves. Make 2.
2d3 wounds. Only 2. Then his Griff Charger gets to go. It has 3 attacks hitting on 3s. 6s cause a mortal wound instead. No mortal wounds on 1 hit. Wounds on 3. Re-rolling because of Empower. That's a wound.
4 plus save. I rolled the wrong colour dice, but it doesn't matter. He's down to 2 wounds remaining on the Guardian Souls. Well, it's only my units left, so I'll pick Reikenor.
Piles in.
So he's got 4 attacks with Fell Reaper, hitting on 4s, and 6 to scores mortal wounds. So that's 6 mortal wounds.
Even with Cycle of the Storm, I can't possibly stop that, so yeah, she's just dead. Sandra gets decapitated.
And finally, the Guardian of Souls gets to go. 3 attacks hitting on 3s for the Guardian of Souls. 2 hits. Wounding on 2s because he affects himself. 2 wounds.
4 plus saves. Well, failed both. He's down to 2 wounds. And that is the end of the battle round. And the Nighthaunt hold 2 objectives. And the Stormcast hold the one on the far end. But the Stormcast killed 13 chain rasps worth of wounds.
And I killed 5 Secretors and Zandra, which is 15 wounds.
So the Nighthaunt win that as well. So they get 5 victory points, making it 8-2 at the end of battle round 2. So on to battle round 3, and we're rolling off for priority. 3 for me.
4 for me. I'm going to go first.
So on to Nighthaunt, turn 3.
So I gain a command point, and then I'm going to start with Reikenor. He's going to use Corpse Candles to do a mortal wound to the Lord Arcanum.
Yep, because he's within 12, so he's down to 1.
Then Reikenor will try to cast Arcane Bolt. Needs a 4. Only gets a 2. That's annoying.
Well, 3.
3, yeah. So it'll be the Guardian of Souls next. He's going to try and cast Arcane Bolt as well. Gets it with a 7.
Lord Arcanum will try and unbind it, because otherwise he'll be dead. Nope, he got a 5. Yeah. He gets Arcane Bolt.
Do it on the Lord Arcanum.
So he's dead.
So there's going to be a fair amount of shuffling around. We'll go in the middle. So the Grimghast Reapers have moved up to give lookouts to the Guardian of Souls, who's going to stay where he is. The Chamon ran, but that's just to get them close to the Guardian of Souls. The Banshees have come round this way. Spirit Hosts and Reikenor have moved, so they're 3 inches away from the poor Castigators. And all the way over on the right, the Glavery Stalkers have run, and they're going to be in position to nab that objective if the Evocators move away. And I'll do the Spirit Host first. Anything but a 2, 10 is easy enough. I'll roll Reikenor as well, he gets an 8.
So they finish their charges like that, swarming all over the poor Castigators.
I think I'll do Reikenor first. 4 attacks, hitting on 4s, 6 are mortal wounds. Well, there's 2 mortal wounds, and a hit, which wounds on a 2. It does not.
We'll lose this one who's furthest from the objective, not going to matter much at this point.
3 attacks from the horse as well, hitting on 4s. Oh, they miss.
And we will go for Reikenor because he's got 4 wounds left now, 4 attacks, which hit on 4s. No, he's not going to die. 2 hits, and wounding on 4s. Nothing.
And then there's 18 attacks from the Spirit Hosts, hitting on 5s. 6 are mortal wounds. Well, there's 4 mortal wounds.
So the Castigators are destroyed, and that will be the end of Nighthaunt turn 2. But at that point, I'll concede the game, because although I have an undamaged unit of Evocators, and who knows, they might even be able to kill Reikenor or something, I have no way of challenging for the Nighthaunt's control of the objectives. As soon as I move into the middle, the Glavery Stalkers will pounce on the one over there that I've already got. So it's 8 victory points to 2 already, and the Nighthaunt's just going to keep racking up the 3 points every turn for objectives. So definitely going to be a Nighthaunt victory, and we'll recap that game for you now. So that was the game for Age of Sigmar Mortal Realms Magazine issue 48. How do you think that went?
Astonishingly well, actually. Pretty better than I thought it would.
Pretty much everything worked out well for you.
Probably the only minor hiccup was failing to cast Arcane Bolt with Reikenor right at the end. Yeah, on the board this size, I really had the space to avoid Spirit Flasks and spread out and use my mobility to my advantage. Although I will say that if you total up the number of wounds, I think I have something like 25% more than you. I have 47 to 37 or something like that, which is a similar amount. It's enough for you to get another unit, I think, which you could probably do with, since with only 5 units, you have a lot of ground to cover with 3 boards as well. Whereas I have so many more units, I could spread out really easily.
Yeah, and you had several small units that didn't really have any use other than holding objectives. I mean, 4 Glaive Wraiths aren't going to do anything else, but as it was, by sitting in the corner, I could either go after them and basically take my Evocators out of the game, or ignore them, and then they would just take the objectives. So.
I mean, my 3 small units all did something useful, but they didn't actually do any fighting as well.
And obviously you did win the game on objectives.
Yeah, I got the objectives every turn again.
Yeah, and it would have continued had we carried on in that vein. I suppose I could have sent the Castigators off off to the side to get an objective, but the downside of that is they might actually lose to Glavewraith Stalkers.
I would probably be tempted to actually charge them with the Glaive Race or send the Mindmore Banshees over to that side as well to reinforce it. Although even then, I suppose I might have actually just split up my forces. If you put all your powerful units in the middle, I would have just concentrated on holding 2 of the objectives.
Well, I could have sent the Lord Arcanum off by himself and he would have easily beaten up one of your small units, but then he wouldn't have been in the middle where he was needed, and he wouldn't have been in spell range, wouldn't have been in range of a Cycler of the Storm. He kind of needed to do everything in this game, really, because all my other units were basically too slow. And you saw what happened with the Evocators. They moved over, took the objective, and then they were out of the game and didn't do anything. And given that they probably have the highest damage output in my army, that wasn't great. It's another one of those games, really, where the Stormcast struggle to compete on objectives. Obviously, the size of the board means your mobility is really handy. Just not having enough models, so they have to kind of win the wounds caused every turn, and if they don't, then they're in trouble.
Yeah, and I was able to kill off your Secretors as well.
Yeah, the fact you were able to charge the Secretors was a important
To be fair, I think I won all the roll-offs as well. Yeah. So.
Although that charge did cost you 13 Chainmasters, it's only because you killed even more in that battle run that you actually won those points.
Killing off Zandra in your turn.
Yeah, because the Secretors actually rolled amazingly well for attacking.
Yeah, and the Guardian of Souls is always useful, just for that extra +1 to wound.
Yeah, and I think I made a mistake in going after the Guardian of Souls with the Lord Arcanum. I wanted to kill him because he could just start bringing Chainmasters back at a rate of D6 per turn, which would have been bad. But the problem was he was just ever so slightly too close to the Spirit Hosts. I think leaving Zandra in combat to blow up her Spirit Flask was also a mistake. I think I didn't need to kill those 3 Chain Rasps or damage Reikenor like that. I think it would have been better retreating with her and leaving her for another turn.
Yeah, Reikenor did really well this game. I think he's finally something that's on par with the Lord Arcanum on my side, because the Knight of Shrouds doesn't really cut it against him. With his base move, actually the fastest unit you get with a magazine for the Nighthaunt as well. And Wraithstorm is potentially quite dangerous. More dangerous against armies with single wound models, but if you combine it with the Corpse Candles, you're basically guaranteed to get both effects.
Yeah, you can do up to 7 mortal wounds just with his one spell. The downside is the short range, I suppose. It's not like that. Yeah.
But he's reasonably dangerous in melee.
Yeah, I mean, 4 attacks hitting on 4s can be a bit...
Well, he's basically a Caird Wraith with an extra attack, and he has a slightly better horse. I really love the model. He's a bit of a pain to put together, as I said in the build guide, but he looks really impressive. His name sounds like a Dark Souls boss as well, and he looks like a Dark Souls boss.
And aesthetically, he's actually unique pretty much in the Nighthaunt army. I don't think there's anything else. He's kind of a number of different Nighthaunt models mashed together almost.
You could probably do with a bigger base. You probably could do with a Lord Arcanum size base. I'd say he's quite top heavy. He's also very hard to transport as well, because he's both very wide and very tall and quite fragile. So while he does look impressive, he's a bit of a pain in that respect. Also, actually, you should point out that since he's a unique model, I think he's about £25 or equivalent outside the magazine, so getting him for £9 is a pretty good deal, since you don't need to buy him again.
Yeah, because you can only take one of them. Anyway, I think that's it for this episode, so if you enjoyed this video, then please leave a like and subscribe. Let us know your thoughts on the game, on Reikenor, if you include him in your army. Interesting to know how you get the best out of him. But we've been the Tabletop Donkeys, and we'll see you in the next one.
Bye for now.